IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashton Doctor, your habit coach, and today we're going to be talking about 5 essential habits according to our guest Chetna Chakravarti. And we just recorded a podcast with her, so if you haven't listened to that one, please do make sure you listen to it. It was on toxic positivity. And today we're going to be understanding what are her 5 essential habits and essential habits that she thinks that we need to create in our life as well. So Chetna, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Hey Ashton, thank you for having me here.
My pleasure.
I'm gonna quickly give everybody a 2-3 line background about me so that they know who is saying what they are saying and why they are saying it.
Please, most important.
To everyone who's tuned in, I'm Chetna. I'm a life coach. I call myself a positive action coach and an alternative healing practitioner. My journey started with alternative healing, which is chakra healing and tarot card reading. As well as BioTouch, which is a touch healing for physical ailments. But I slowly also added life coaching to my kitty because you can shift your subconscious mind, but you need to change your conscious behavior in order for life to really change. The subconscious and the conscious must work together. So for me, working with clients through chakra healing, helping them deal with emotional baggage and all the trauma that they may be carrying also has to be complemented with life coaching, which is where we go into changing the way you are reacting and responding to life in your current day. So that's me. And also, I'm also an IVM podcaster. I have a podcast called Positively Unlimited, which is, it's a podcast with A to Z series about many different things in life, such as relationships, work-life balance, the lockdown, anxiety, mental health, etc. So make sure you go check that out as well.
I love the fact that you're doing these A to Z series. I think they're very cool and put a lot of perspective on them because you're going through the entire alphabet on a particular topic.
Yeah, and it's actually it keeps it fun for me, Ashton, because I have to then jog my mind about vocabulary also. Dictionary, thesaurus. Come on, how do I say this in a different way? The worst is the letter X. Worst.
I can imagine.
So I'm always playing on words.
When I was a kid, we used to play name, place, animal, thing.
Yeah.
Right, and we used to do like how we had Antakshari where the last letter starts with the. So my cousin used to have this country, or no country, it was a city, I think, that was called Halifax.
Yeah.
Right. So H-A-X. Like we would try our best not to give him H because I knew that Halifax was going to be thrown as a googly. So yeah, absolutely. X is one of those letters that difficult to find.
Yeah, it's difficult, but I always play on words. So
apart from avoiding X as a habit, what are some of your favorite habits that make a big difference in your life and what we should be incorporating in ours?
Okay, so I don't call them habits. I call these life rules. And the reason why I call them life rules is because for me personally, when you say habit, I get very stressed with this whole discipline and consistency and all of these things that we all struggle with. Okay. So the rule number 1 is don't try to be consistent and do things in order. Just learn to bounce back. I focus more on bouncing back than being consistent. And I promise you learn to bounce back. Every time that you are inconsistent, eventually consistency becomes a habit. It will come. Right? So that's one thing that I want to put, like that's the first one I want to share, because when you say habit, the first thing that everybody will cry about is, but it's so hard to be consistent. I do it for 3 days and then I can't do it again. Once I drop off, I'm not able to come back. Focus on bouncing back.
Love it. And before I have to change the name of my podcast to Rules for Life podcast instead of Habit Coach podcast, it's important to understand consistency and what I call the 3 golden rules of habit change.
Right.
And consistency is rule number 3, where we think about consistency differently because, normally, and this is exactly where this whole thought of consistency comes from. Habit streak, 21 days, I have to do it without breaking. Otherwise, I'm a loser. I can't do anything in life. That is the way that we typically think about habits. Instead, what we have to think about it as is the third rule of golden habits of, no, the third rule of habit change is never miss 2 days in a row.
Oh, nice.
You must have the compassion and the ability to say, ek din chale gaya, no problem. Enjoy that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up over it, because life happens and we are humans.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with habits as humans, not as robots.
Yeah.
So one day gone, no problem. But the second day, do the minimum amount of that habit. So if you wanted to just do yoga and you were feeling sick on the second day, just roll out the mat.
Yeah.
You don't have to do yoga.
Yeah.
But the act of taking that step feels that, I'm not losing it. And that's how you build consistency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So absolutely right. It's not about consistency, but it's about realizing that there will be days that you don't do it. And how you said, bounce back.
Bounce back.
Exactly. But bounce back with a little structure to it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, and again, I'm saying this for everybody listening to me, I am not a creature of habit. There are a lot of things that I will start and I will fall off track and pick it up again. But this one mindset of bouncing back makes me try harder and work harder for the things that really matter. Right? And eventually it may take me longer than what it may take a lot of people who are very good with discipline. But I do get to a point where I am consistent as per my definition of that word. Right?
Correct.
Which means 5 days
Lovely.
a week or 3 days a week, whatever I have said, I get to it. And all I think about is bouncing back. So that's one habit that I have.
Beautiful.
The second one that I have is, well, it's actually a cliche that I use, right? I always say I'll cross the bridge when I reach it. And I know a lot of people we just throw cliches aside, but we don't realize the power it has, because language has a very, very strong hold on all of us. Remember that language is one of the first few things, you learn it as a child and you're repeating certain words and certain ways of communicating throughout your life. So it's already a habit. It's like a default setting within you. Now, the moment you start using certain phrases that roll off your tongue easily, more and more, and associated with certain behaviors, you will start automatically switching on that mode. Right? So when I say cross the bridge when I reach it, my mind immediately now comes to the present. Within seconds, because I have decided that is not something I'm going to worry about right now. I am willing to wait and I'm willing to cross the bridge when I reach it. Now, I know that for a lot of people in the beginning, when they do this, it will increase their anxiety because they're used to and they want to be in control of everything from the word go. But crossing the bridge when you reach it means you are telling yourself that you don't have to have all the answers, and that is okay. The uncertainty and the unknowing is okay. Also, you are telling yourself that the amount of fuel and resources you have need to be allocated somewhere else, and I don't need to put it here right now. This can wait. Right? And it is allowing you to say that I can improvise. There's another one that I use very closely with this one, which is I'll figure it out. The moment I say I'll figure it out, I'm saying that I will improvise. And I'm capable of figuring it out. So a space of trust builds within me. So yeah, my second one that I would say is cross the bridge when you reach it. Stop trying to have plans laid out for the next 40 years of your life. Do you know what you're going to do today and how you're going to do it today? That's more than enough. Maybe for some things you need to know how you're going to go about it through the week. And maybe for some things you need to know how you're going to go about it in the month. And you may have some plans which are for 3 months. Beyond that, cross the bridge when you reach it. Even if you have a goal set for the end of this year, cross the bridges as you reach it. It allows you to break things down.
This is lovely because we're so trapped in thinking about the future, getting anxiety about the future, and constantly worrying. When that happens, we'll take care of it at that point of time. Right? We'll cross that bridge when it happens. Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah. Okay, the next one that I have, and God, I'm a stickler for this one. Okay, stickler means I will cut conversations halfway. I have no interest. I will not entertain, which is stick to the facts. I refuse to have what if conversations. I refuse. Unless they are what if in terms of ideating, brainstorming, creativity, innovating. Right? Or planning, like creating plans and backup plans. constructively have a what if conversation with me, I'm all for it. What if a meteor hits the earth? I'm not having the conversation with you. I have better things to do. Actually, more than the stick to the facts, I think I have better things to do is a habit of mine. I very happily don't do a bunch of things because I'm so clear that I have better things to do.
Correct.
So when you have better things to do, you're not indulging these conversations. I refuse. So sometimes I'm a little militant about it. There'll be a conversation about politics, or there'll be a conversation even today about this pandemic happening. And last year I remember when this pandemic thing happened, there was this whole conversation about conspiracy theories. And in one of my friend groups, there was this thing because a couple of them were very interested in conspiracy theories, and they would get no response from me. After about some time of one conspiracy theory article or video being posted, I used to then send some random other message saying, I worked out today, I made this today, I'm doing this. Finally, they asked me saying that, every time we post this, you change the topic. What is going on? I said, because I have no interest. I don't want to have those conversations. So you all have it. I'm not going to have it.
Correct.
So it's to that level that I will say, I'm not entertaining this. Tell me the facts and I will talk to you about it.
Because when you say that, tell me the facts, you're getting rid of the chronic worrying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're getting rid of the fantasies that our mind creates on what could happen, can happen, and all of that. And we're saying that, is there any possibility of it right now? No. Do we have any proof of it right now? No. Then why worry?
And the other piece that kicks in right after this, even if you tell me there is half proof, is I'll cross the bridge when I reach it. Is it happening right now? No, I'll cross it when I reach it. It's that, right? So it's to turn around and say that by avoiding what if conversations, I am ensuring I'm not unnecessarily anxious, right? And I'm ensuring that I'm giving myself certainty in uncertain situations. I'm giving myself certainty in uncertain situations, which is the responsibility I have towards myself. It is my responsibility. It is on me to make sure that I feel secure and certain in my life. Sometimes I will do that by taking certain actions, and sometimes I will do that by avoiding certain actions. Having hypothetical conversations is a situation and a habit that I avoid.
Correct.
What if holds nothing for me. So that's it. I will stick to the facts. So that's the other one. Okay, so how many habits
I'll tell you my favorite answer currently we did 3, but I'll tell you my current favorite answer to Ashdin, yaar, when is this pandemic going to end? My favorite answer is 2025. And everyone then freaks out after, 2025. Can you do anything about worrying it? No, 2025.
My answer to that since last year has been, it's not this year. When, I don't know, but I know it's not this year. I'll give you that much certainty. It's not this year. So come, now let's deal with it. Because next year ka bhi next year dekhenge. This year, it's not this year.
But Chetna, you do tarot card reading and things like that, because you'll be getting questions like this all the time, right?
So last year I got a lot of questions about pull some cards for when this pandemic is ending, and I refused. I refused.
When will my business come back to those kind of questions also?
I get. But here's the thing, Ashton, because, and I say this again, because I've seen not in a harmful way, but from, I had enough wisdom to see it from a distance. I've seen the dark side of a lot of spiritual practices. And I've seen how those beliefs can twist and turn reality. So when I do tarot reading, I don't do it in the sense, whenever somebody asks me a question of when, I always turn the question to, instead of when, how about we ask what can you do to make this happen? So what happens with that is, a lot of the way that I do tarot will give you guidance leading you into an action plan. It will tell you the steps you need to take. A lot of people do tarot reading, one, because they are seeking a guarantee. Two, they are seeking assurance. They are seeking validation. And they are seeking something that is going to save them. When I do a reading, I specifically change their questions into ones that will give them action answers rather than keep them in helplessness zone. So when you ask somebody, will this happen for me? You have to realize you're standing in lack. If you don't, you already believe it's not going to happen for you. That's why you are asking, will this happen for me? And if you stand in lack,
Correct.
then you have become an obstacle in your own path. Right? When will this happen for me? People don't ask, when will this happen for me, from a space of conviction. It's coming from impatience and self-doubt. That's the energy it's coming from. So the moment you say, when will this happen for me, you're standing in negative energy. How will you pull a positive card? Remember one thing, that tarot is based on my energy as well as the person, the client, whoever's sitting there for a reading, their energy. If that person's energy is steeped in lack, self-doubt, impatience, then the answers that are going to come out are also going to be misaligned. Hence, as the guide, I will change the question. I will ask,
Correct.
what are the obstacles? What do I need to change to make this happen? How can I make this happen? What do I need to be aware of? Right? The other piece, when people say, when will this happen? My usual response is, the cards don't have dates and a calendar in them. So technically, I cannot tell you when will this happen. I mean, I can't tell you January, February, March, whatever. Yes, there are sometimes I can pull out a card and I can give you a broad space saying that, look, we need to wait for this season to change. Right? We need to wait for an X season to come in. Those are the kind of signs that maybe as a reader I can see in many situations. But usually I will try to steer clear of questions that are coming from a negative energy, which is impatience, self-doubt, lack, anger, this need for vengeance, which is cloaked under this need for justice, usually, and this sense of despair, dejection. Don't do a tarot reading from those energies. It's very hard for you to be pulling aligned guidance. You'll pull answers that may not be really helpful to you.
And the thing is that also when you're in that state of mind, the interpretation of those answers that you'll get will also be negativity.
I'll also say this, okay? Every individual as an energy has the energy of free will. At the core of your being, there is an energy called free will, which means I can do a reading for you. I can tell you 5 things that you should be avoiding. You will go out and do 3 of those 5 things. You will not avoid it. That means everything that you have read in the cards goes out the window because you have changed the direction of your own narrative. So you have to realize this. Again, I say this, sometimes, in India, this is, in astrology, everybody must have experienced this in India because the astrologer says, आप 40 पे मर जाओगे, 65 पे आपका business ये हो जाएगा, 40 पे कुछ और हो जाएगा, आपका लड़का या लड़की आपके हिसाब से शादी नहीं करेगा. All of this comes up, right? Know that we ask questions because we want a sense of control. See the questions that people ask. Okay, how long will I live? Why? Because you want to control what you're going to do with your time. Okay, will I be rich or not? Trying to control your fate and the lifestyle that you live. Will my son or daughter marry according to my wishes? Why? Because trying to control the outcome of your life post their marriage because it's tied to you. And trying to stay in control of your beliefs. Now, when an astrologer says that your son will not marry as per your wishes, you have 2 options. You can either go and try to control him more and come from more of a fear space, or you can sit with your son and work with him. Understand what he wants. Understand what you want. Come to a middle path and maybe you all will choose not from his or yours, but from an aligned family space. Who knows? Right? So when we go to do any kind of readings, whether it is astrology, tarot, any of these other things, think about the purpose with which you are going. And think about what is it that you're trying to control. Because you will find your answers there.
Yes, beautiful. We must have a long conversation on this because this is something that I have not explored for my life. But it is something that we must at some point of time to chat about.
We shall. Come on. We shall do a coffee session like this session.
That coffee. Okay, cool. So habit number 4. Rules of life.
Rules of life. Okay, rules of life, habit number 4. Okay, now this extends in 2 different directions. Okay, so I'm going to try and figure because it's a little intertwined. I believe that the most flexible relationship in your life should be friendship, which means stop expecting everybody to be a 3 a.m. friend. Stop expecting the 3 a.m. friend to be there for everything in your life. They have a life of their own to live also. And they have enough other relationships which are bound by expectations and pressure. Friendship is the one relationship where you can create a space where everybody can be who they need and want to be. Provided you understand that friends will be the bond, that the intensity of that bond can be different with different people. Okay, your close-knit circle does not have to have the whole world in it. And just because one close friend hurt you once does not mean everybody has to be banished and kept at arm's length. So friendship is the most flexible relationship, and that's how it should be. That's a habit that that's literally a habit and a life rule that I maintain. And it's one of the reasons why I make friends easily. I have a lot of friends. My inner circle is always growing, always evolving, and I have multiple circles. Right? It's like those rings. There is an inner ring, outer ring, outer ring, outer ring. There are multiple circles, and people are constantly moving from the inner to the outer and the outer to the inner. There's a flow of energy. That is how friendship needs to be. This brings me to another, it's a life hack that I use to ensure that I can do this, not just in friendship, but in every other area of my life, is to understand that what you are expecting from a person is dependent on their capability and their willingness, not on your desire. I can want the moon, but is my friend an astronaut to go and get it for me? And even then, does he have the science and is he willing to go and do it for me? Right? So in general, in all your relationships, whether it's your parents, your siblings, your friends, your colleagues, your partner, your kids, please understand their capabilities and their willingness. Sometimes people are capable of giving you something, but they are not willing to give you something. Sometimes they don't have the capability and the capacity only, so then willingness doesn't come into the question only. Right? And when you use that, is this person capable and willing as the rule to assess every situation, you will be able to keep your relationships a lot more flexible than what you otherwise keep.
Lovely. I love this because we put the chains of expectation on our friendships.
Yeah.
And then we don't create freedom in the friendships. Instead, we create slavery in the friendships.
Yeah. Today,
and that is important to break.
Like as an example, today, Ashton, I have one of my closest friends is airline crew, which means she's flying in different time zones, which means, and I've known her since I was 2, and I know that if I call her, she will drop everything and come running. But if she's sitting in New York and it's middle of the night and she's done a 36-hour flight and she's sleeping, and she doesn't answer my phone, it is okay. And if she does that 40 times, it is okay. I have to understand that it's not a willingness issue, it's a capacity and a capability issue at that point of time.
Correct.
Right? Also, if my friend goes into, if my friend has to attend to something that is important for him or her in her life, and hence has to miss something that is important to me, it is okay. Everybody gets the right to choose what matters to them. It does not mean they love you less. It means that they are allowed to have priorities. And you are not everybody's priority. Step down from the pedestal. Kindly, self-proclaimed crown can be placed aside.
Correct.
Right? So it's
so true.
So it's just have that ability to assess capacity, capability, willingness. And every time, not as a general. It changes relationships. It makes things easy. It allows for acceptance, which is what all of us are craving for. This noise about validation, what is it actually? You want to be seen and heard and accepted. That's
Correct.
all. And this opens the room for that. It makes everything possible.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. So this rule on friendship, absolutely on board with you.
Yeah.
What is your final habit and rule for us?
Okay, my final rule and habit for us is put everything down on paper.
Hayla.
Put your ideas down on paper. Put your action plans down on paper. And I don't mean phone. I mean paper and pen. Do not stop to write. Why? Because for generations, and I'm not talking about your generation, my generation, next generation, previous generation. No, I'm saying hundreds of generations from the time writing was discovered. Go into the caves, okay, from then. We have been developing something in our body called a neural pathway. There is a hand-brain connection. What you write, your brain responds to. Put everything down. When you are harassed, write and burn. Writing allows you to empty the mind because the brain says, oh, nikal gaya haath se. Everything's done. It does that for you. When you write something that you are going to do, the brain is saying, it's in my head. It will spot opportunities. It will have the legit conversations. When you write your plans down, your brain has clarity of the steps. But when you write, most of all, your mind remembers and latches onto it, which does not happen with typing. We all make plans on the computer. We make Excel sheets and PPT, etc. That will still not have the impact of writing down 5 steps on paper. Only because there is a genetic, now physical connection between the hand and the brain. There is a neural pathway. Use it, do not lose it. We are underusing this ability, and hence so much of problems come. Today, suddenly journaling is a trend. Dear diary, it's a trend. Why? Because there is so much up here, and only expressing it verbally is not helping us. So now we are needing this, so use it.
Lovely.
So put everything down on paper. Burn the books. If you don't want anybody reading your diary, please write and burn is a brilliant way. Give somebody galis and then burn the paper. Burn it. It's okay. You don't want to express, don't want anybody finding out your deepest, darkest fears. You don't want everybody knowing that you have a crush on somebody. Write it and burn it. It's okay. All you need is a tweezer and a lighter in the bathroom. Kindly do it in safe zones, please. Fire is hazardous to health. But here's the thing, do it. Just don't keep it within you. Don't keep it
Whole
within
thing, if you have a crush on someone, go tell the person. No, I'm full on.
अरे उसके लिए courage लगता है. Everybody doesn't have, na? So I have to give another exception.
So you first write down, I have courage, I have courage, I have courage, I have courage.
No, other thing also, write down your exact script that you're going to go tell them, practice it in front of the mirror, then go and blabber it. So clearly don't take love tips from both of us, you all will fail.
But it's so interesting, this connection between the hand and the head, right?
Yeah.
So when you look back at the number of people or who we consider successful people or people who are great inventors and presidents and things like that, all of them had their journals. Like Da Vinci's papers are something that is so sought after. All the presidents that we look up to had their journals, had their writing that we can read now. So it's very interesting to know this. And free flow journaling is obviously a great way of just getting your thoughts down. But like you said, you can use it for action orientation, your goals, repeat them every day. Write down your goal every day at the top of your book along with the things that you're probably grateful for, like the 3 gratitude habits. So you're just setting yourself up emotionally and you're priming your mind to, like you said, look for opportunities through the day to how to help you get to that goal that you want.
Through the day. Monkey brain. We say monkey brain, right? It's big, and that's what most of us are suffering from, because it jumps from one thing to another. So it jumps from good to bad to bad to bad, then good to bad, then something worse. It's constantly doing that. When you write things down, when you give yourself a little bit of organization, everything doesn't have to be chopped down, but some stuff, you're giving your mind some direction and you're reducing the monkey brain syndrome. You're lowering that, which means you breathe a lot more easy. There's space up here. If anybody just closes their eyes and imagines an empty mind, that only makes you feel better. Because we're so, bound up with 40,000 different thoughts. And sometimes 3 breaths in a clear mind only makes it easier. So there's a simpler way, just write. And there are lots of journaling questions. Lots of journaling tips. You don't have to free write. It doesn't have to be a Dear Diary kind of story all the time. You can write what do I want to experience today at the start of your day. You can write 3 questions that I answer every day. If you want to know, one is, what have I learned about myself today? What do I want to acknowledge and appreciate about myself today? And what am I thankful for today? And here's the thing, most of us try to write these answers wanting for it to sound cool. It is your journal. Stop judging. On some days, the fact that I make brilliant coffee is enough. I want to have gratitude for that and I want to appreciate myself for that. Big deal.
Correct.
Don't judge the answers that you write. Accept.
Correct.
So
it's not going to come on the radio.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to.
So that's...
We will not read it out to you on the podcast. So these are important things. I love these 5 habits because, when you start practicing these things every day, you will see such a dramatic shift in the way that your mind works. Because you've broken down things about not living in the future. You've broken down things about constant chronic worrying. You've broken down things about relationships. And all these will just add that change to your life that you want. And I think these are brilliant habits that all of us should definitely do. And I have taken my notes. Absolutely.
And they're simple, they're not hectic things that you have to do in the day or take time out for it, or I have to plan. No, they're simple things. Learn to say cross the bridge when I reach it. Just learn, by heart it. By heart it and say it as often as you want. See what it does for you.
Correct. I'm going to use this on my dad all the time because he's one of those. But Ashton, we must think about what happens if this happens. I'm like, we'll cross it when it happens. I have better things to do in life right now. I'm talking to Chetna. I'll fire off your shoulder only. Chetna told me to say this to you.
Listen, I tell everybody, just say, my life coach told me. Finished. Put the gun on the shoulder and shoot it down. Now what we'll do? Simple.
I say the same thing. Use me. That's what you're doing. Use.
But she never listens to me. I said, yes, tell her the life coach told you this has to be done. Immediately something
and my other thing
happen.
Is that, and if people don't listen, say that he said it's a challenge. As soon as people hear challenge, they're like, then we must help you on this. Chalo.
Vinay, cool. Don't share these tips of ours, okay? Don't give our secrets away.
Love it. Okay, super. Chetna, how can people get in touch with you? How can people connect with you?
So, again, easiest way to get in touch with me is Instagram. My handle is Positivity Angel. And if you want to see the work that I do, sign up for any programs. I put up a lot of details on my Insta stories. But I also have a website called chetnachakravarti.com. You can log on to that and you can check it out.
Superb. And please don't forget to check out her podcast, Positively Unlimited.
Yes.
And you can find her A to Z tips on different things.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. This was really, really awesome and I had a blast.
Yay. Long time pending.
Yes,
finally
long
happened.
time.
So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashton Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com. or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME 180. That's Awesome 180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Cred, PayPal, and Siet. Thank you. We really do appreciate the support. So this week on Cyrus Says was great. We had Meghna joining us on Cock and Bull, Tanveer Taj and Priyanka Jena talking about pets. Huma Qureshi talks about her new television show and her life in Bollywood. And to celebrate 700 episodes on Cyrus Says, we had a number of his previous producers come on board and reminisce. Tune into This Round Is On Me, where Gauri Devi Dayal was joined by Samir Sheth and Yash Panage. These are the guys who started Bombay Canteen, O Pedro, and a number of other restaurants. Really great conversation they had with Gauri. On The Habit Coach, Ashton Doctor tells us about nourishing creativity and the importance of losing and some micro habits to counter overthinking. On their 75th episode, Ritasha and Rayushi talk to Naveen Richards. On The Note with Monica Nayat, she speaks with Komal Nahata to talk about the business of Bollywood, lockdown losses, piracy issues, and experiments being done to keep it going. On Advertising is Dead, Varun is joined by Guru Bhatt, VP of Customer Success Platform for PayPal India, to talk about how the digital money landscape and the fintech ecosystem has fundamentally altered the world. We also have Thalarate, our Kannada podcast. Hosts Ganesh and Pawan discuss video games, and Sivakamyam Sabatam, the Tamil show where Kavita Jiva sheds light in another story about the bravery and excellence in the governance of the Pallava dynasty. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Hey, I'm Zarina, your peak performance coach, leadership coach, and life coach. And I'm here to unleash that power within you with your weekly dose of mantras and empowerment. Tune in to Monday Mantras every Monday for your quick fix, and the Empowering series with Zarina Poonawalla every Thursday for riveting real-life stories. You can catch us on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.